the cutest prop there.
Do we?
Okay. Are we on?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Midwife Monday. Thanks for joining us today. We have our lovely friend Jamie here, who is a mama in our community who just had her third baby. And this is her first out-of-hospital birth. Miss Jamie had, your first baby was?
A breech C-section.
So breech baby, but first. Choices with a breech are schedule a C-section, which was probably the only choice you were given, I would imagine, right? Mm-hmm. Many obstetricians in our community, California, speaking of our community, the standard of care is to just automatically do a scheduled C-section, though we do know that breech is just a variation of normal, and in order, we believe women deserve the ability to make an informed decision on whether they would like a vaginal delivery or a C-section. Sounds like Jamie might not have been given full informed consent and given any options on other choices of delivering. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, and I felt like I didn't really know any different.
Yeah.
And I trusted my doctor at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah,
I kind of just fell into it. We tried to turn her at 38 weeks.
Right.
And
Popular
it
to
was
do that.
Unsuccessful, and
that's called
so
an external cephalic version, an ECV, trying to turn her. You probably did chiropractic care and massage and acupuncture.
I didn't do acupuncture.
Okay, well,
at the time, I
right.
didn't know about. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I did do a lot of weird things to try to turn her, but
Webster
I didn't
technique
do
is
acupuncture, but
yeah, Webster technique is
back,
the most popular. It's got a high success rate. That's a chiropractic maneuver to rotate a breech baby to a vertex, to a head down position. So anyway, I had a C-section with our first baby and had a beautiful child and breastfed and did great. Yeah. And then second baby.
So, and then I wanted something much different. I did not want to have another C-section. It was a really hard, it was uncomplicated and everything went textbook, but it was a hard recovery. And I struggled with what I would call a little bit of trauma because I didn't feel prepared. I didn't feel like I had all the information, and I started researching after the fact, and I was a little bit angry that I wasn't given all the information, and then a little bit guilty in myself for not doing more research. So
That's hard though, because especially as a first-time mom, and you have your provider who you have a good relationship. I know you had a great provider. It's just you're sort of at this place at 38 weeks of like, oh my gosh, I have a breech baby. Baby hasn't turned. I don't know what to do, and I want the baby to be healthy. Of course, I want this to be safe.
Yeah.
And as the pregnant person, it's hard to know how do you find the information, right? You don't have any resources,
well,
so
there's
it's
so
difficult.
Much, at the time, there was so much what I felt was conflicting information on the internet, and then you'd have a big body of medical professionals telling you no, and then a body of people telling you yes. And so, and at the time, I think I made the right decision for where I was at the time. But then
you trusted your care provider, and it's like, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. You and your partner came together on a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. But the second time around, I did want something different. I didn't want to just walk in and be like a number, because I felt like that I got like pushed off to the side, and there's a mom in labor, so I'm just sitting there waiting for my C-section. It was very awkward. There was no labor or anything, so I didn't.
That happens with non-emergent C-sections. Yeah. Something is, you're going in for your scheduled breech delivery, and other people will take precedence, which is appropriate. Obviously, you want to get the emergency situations taken care of first. But you're sort of left there like waiting. You just sort of are waiting like, okay, I was supposed to have my section at 7 this morning, and now it's 9, and now it's 11, and then they finally get you in.
Yeah, so it was just very unnatural, and there was no labor or anything. So I kind of, like, after she was born, just got hit with, like, everything coming out at me. So with my second, though, I did do a lot of research. I got pregnant 18 months after my first, and I really researched, and I was like a regular on VBACFacts.com, and I attended a couple seminars and joined the I Can support group, and
that's the International Cesarean Awareness Network. We'll put a link here in this Facebook Live thing. We'll put a link to I Can and
VBAC Facts.
VBAC Facts. Yeah. Really good information.
Yeah. So I did research, and then I wasn't yet comfortable having an out-of-hospital birth, having the baby so close together. I had like romantic visions of it, but I just didn't feel like I was ready. So I did find a care provider and decided to have a hospital birth at Cedars. But I hired a doula, and I had I did hypnobabies for like the whole second half of the pregnancy, and so I felt very prepared going in, and I had I was 41 weeks and 3 days.
And you were living up here?
And I was living in Santa Clarita, driving down to Beverly Hills for my prenatals. And the doctor was supportive. I went past 41 weeks, and we started to talk a little bit about induction at 42 weeks, but I was doing chiropractic care and acupuncture at the time, and after a round of acupuncture, I went into labor 2 hours after my appointment.
She went into labor because she was ready to go into labor.
Yes.
Acupuncture is great, and we know that it helps, but it was also time to go into labor.
Yes.
At 41 and 3.
I was ready, for sure. And so it was great. I mean, we made it to the hospital. That was at 7 p.m. on a Thursday, driving down to Beverly Hills. We made it.
Right in time for shift change. Great time to arrive.
Yeah. I felt good. I was 7 centimeters when I got there, and so it was like 7, and about 5 or 6 hours later, he was born. It was uncomplicated.
Nice.
The nurses were really respectful. Everything was great. There was no interventions that had to happen. He did end up having to go to the NICU for some precautionary reasons because he had a low-grade fever and the nurses called it concerned rapid breathing.
That's called TTN, or transient tachypnea of the newborn. More common in boys than girls. Happens in the first 4 hours of birth, and it's not too uncommon. What we do here, we don't see a lot of it, is because we keep babies skin to skin on mom, where they transition a little bit better. But it's something to be, we want to observe a baby that's got TTN. So totally appropriate.
And he ended up with a 4-day stay because it happened over Labor Day weekend. And
Tricky.
labs couldn't come back. And so anyways, that was kind of a bummer because we had such a great a labor and birth. But the postpartum was me going home without a baby. So that was hard. And I had to pump and bring milk into Beverly Hills. Yeah. So that was rough. And I didn't rest because I could not leave him. So I was there every day.
And you had a toddler at home.
My daughter was 26 months, so she was with grandma. So for the first week, it was hard. I got really swollen. I had to have 3 stitches, and one of them came out. And so it was very painful. I almost felt like at the time this was worse than my C-section recovery because I was just in a lot of pain. And emotionally, it was just, I felt like, I did everything, and now we have this roadblock. So that was really hard. But once he got home, it was great. And we, he was great. And then life happened, and 4 years later, we were pregnant with this little one. And at that point, I did feel ready for out-of-hospital birth because I felt like I had my research. I had a lot of relationships with moms who've had babies at the birth center, and I got to know Renee a little bit, and I just felt really confident that as long as our pregnancy was uncomplicated, that this would be a good choice for me. My family, my sisters, we all kind of have histories of quick labors, and this one proved to be that. Yeah,
and second babies tend to be the fastest babies that we have, right? So we know that the seconds are going to come about a third of the time of a first, a third of the active labor time.
Yeah.
And way less pushing.
Yeah. So he was my son was 8 pounds 13 ounces. I only pushed for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes with him, but the labor from start to finish was about 12 hours. This one, do we go into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one, at 39 weeks and 3 days, I was feeling really great, and I had my mom visiting in town, and We spent some time walking on the beach
that's
on
always
Sunday,
nice.
And we had a long day. And then my water spontaneously broke at 10:15, which was
PM
and that was weird because my water didn't break until I was pushing with my son. So that was a new experience for me. And I called Renee and was all like, I think I'm in labor, but you were saying, well, it could be
because you weren't contracting.
I wasn't having contractions. So she said rest, and within 20 minutes I was having contractions like 8 minutes apart. And then they started getting like 5 minutes apart within the hour. So that's when I started realizing like, oh, this is happening a lot quicker than I thought it would. So we got to the birth center around 12:30, so about 2 hours after my water broke. I don't know. It was kind of a blur.
Yeah.
I got here. Renee had the tub going. Everything was ready. It was so calm, and I had just like these visions of what it was going to be like walking in here, and I didn't even really have time to like process that it was happening. But everybody was just so calm and focused that I just was like, okay, let's do it. And I got in the tub, and 45 minutes later, she was born.
Yeah. There she was.
So like three or four pushes, I think. But it did take me off guard because I felt like with my second one, labor, there was like this process, and I kind of remember going through these like
sort of like stages you know, your butt, it's like climbing a staircase. Totally. You know, you go up the first flight, you come to a landing, you're sort of like, okay, I can do this. And then it gets stronger and like, okay, I can do this level.
Yeah.
But seconds, sometimes, you know, it's just sort of a whirlwind. It's like a train coming through sometimes. And that's, you know, people say, oh gosh, I wish I had such a short labor. But it's a lot to get on top of.
Yeah. I think that's what I was not ready to push. Like, I'm like, we just got in the tub, you know, so that was a little bit scary. But thank God it was over quick. So we were good. And and it was just so nice to not have people running around frantic, you know, this baby being born. We just got to lay there for a good hour and just relax and be together, and it was quiet, and it was just me and my husband, so it was just very intimate and respectful and just calm.
And then we do the newborn exam, and then you were gone probably within 2-3 hours after birth.
I came home at 4:30. My mom was there. You're home with a baby?
And your mom's a labor and delivery nurse, or NICU.
She's a labor and delivery nurse in Ohio, and so she was just amazed at how everything just unfolded, and it was so nice to have her there. She was there for 3 days after the baby was born, and just cooking, and you know, she was like my postpartum doula.
Yeah.
And so it was just nice to be home in our own bed and to be cared for.
Nursing started off on the right track.
Yeah. Nursing went well. And I think it was just because we had our own timeline to do things, and it was just we could be together. Nursing was hard with the first two because with Jackson being in the NICU, I could only come every 3 hours. There's like strict feeding times. So it was a little bit rougher to get started. And with the C-section,
if it's still like that at Cedars. I'm not sure that it is actually, but maybe.
Well, and I don't know if it was just NICU's policy at the time, but so it was just, that was a little bit hard. Hi.
She's so wide awake, you guys. She's just like looking at her mom, and her eyes are wide open, and she's 1 week old today, and she thinks she's a big girl because she's already looks like she's already trying to smile. She totally makes eye contact. She's nursing great.
She's past her birth weight.
She's above her birth weight today. That's what we do at a 1 week visit, is we check in to make sure baby is getting close to their birth weight. Sometimes they surpass their birth weight by 1 week, and we're checking her color, and she's pink, 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 and we work on breastfeeding. So each of the postpartum visits are lactation consultations. So we do 60 minutes with mom and baby, and worked on deep latch. You know, you have a forceful letdown, so how to manage that milk flow with the first week. And each baby, your milk comes in faster with each baby. Yeah. So, you know, the milk came right in, and she's having a little bit of a hard time managing the speed of the milk. But we talked about laid back nursing and how to manage supply, and Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice because with the first two, I didn't have that, like, I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable asking my OBGYN to, like, oh, can you help position me?
And they don't, because they don't do lactation, and your peds don't really do, the pediatricians don't, some do, but many are not lactation consultants, and they're not seeing mom, they're just seeing baby. So no one in the postpartum period, when you're in a traditional obstetrical practice, no one sees the mom and baby together postpartum except for lactation consultants.
Yeah.
Or midwives. Yeah.
Well, and I think that was huge. I mean, I breastfed my other two for 2 years, so it's not like breastfeeding to me. It's like it comes fairly easy. However, breastfeeding a newborn is its own ball game.
Yeah. Oh, bless. You didn't like that.
So I think even if you've had successful breastfeeding experiences or not, I mean, just having that support from the beginning is huge.
Yeah.
Because each baby has their own story, and sometimes they do struggle with latching or whatever, but and I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, and it's important. It's important to be checking in with a care provider. We do a home visit at 24 hours, and we do all the tests that are done in the hospital. We do those at the home. And then we check in with moms at 1 week, 3 weeks, and 6 weeks postpartum, just to make sure this is all continuing to go well.
Yeah.
So this is what a 1 week. Not all women look this beautiful and fantastic 1 week postpartum.
Well, she slept, so I got my blow dry and mascara on today.
She slept because she gave mom 4 hours. So in her world, she slept.
I felt like a champion.
And baby is thriving and being seen by a pediatrician as well. And this is what 1 week postpartum looks like with a mom with 3 babies. So thanks for sharing your story, Jamie.
Thank you.
If you guys have questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about, of course you can email us. You can comment here on our Facebook page. We'd like to know from you guys, how did you do 1 week postpartum? How was your breastfeeding experience going? Did you get the support you needed? We'd like to hear about that and see how we can improve and how we can help you get the help you need postpartum. So you can comment below and let us know how your 1 week, at 1 week, how were you doing with your baby and what was really helpful for you to continue to breastfeed. We'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So thanks for joining us today, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.